Last harvest season I did something that stopped my neighbor dead in his tracks. He had spent the entire summer tending a 30-foot potato row that stretched across nearly his entire back garden. Weeks of digging, hilling, watering, and waiting. When he finally harvested, he pulled about 40 pounds. Not bad for the effort. I walked over and tipped a single wire cylinder the size of a small trash can onto its side. Potatoes rolled out in every direction across the grass. I stopped counting at 75. Same neighborhood. Same summer. Same crop. 4 square feet of space versus 30 feet of garden row. When I told him I learned this method from Amish farmers in Holmes County, Ohio, he laughed. Then he saw the pile of potatoes and stopped laughing. Today I am walking you through this exact method step by step, with every measurement, every timing detail, and every mistake to avoid. And stay with me until the end, because I am sharing the simplest possible version of this: no tools, no building, no structure at all, that you can set up in about 20 minutes with nothing but straw. For most of my gardening life I planted potatoes exactly one way. Dig a trench, drop in seed potatoes, cover them up, hill them once or twice, and wait. My results were average. A pound or 2 per plant on a good year. And I was using up a massive section of my garden to get there. Then I visited an Amish community in Holmes County, Ohio, and watched a farmer tip over a wire cylinder stuffed with straw. Potatoes kept coming. And coming. From one structure the size of a card table. The reason Amish families developed this method is deeply practical. These are large households. 10 or 12 people around the dinner table is completely normal. Every square foot of garden ground has to earn its place. Growing horizontally across long rows wastes the one resource they cannot afford to waste: space. So over generations they perfected a method that grows upward instead of outward, stacking yield on top of yield from the smallest possible footprint. And the reason it works is pure biology. Most gardeners never learn this, and it is the key to everything. When you bury a potato stem, the buried section produces lateral shoots called stolons. Each stolon tip swells into a new potato. That is how tubers form. In a conventional garden you hill your potatoes once or twice, which buries a few extra inches of stem. That gives you a limited number of stolons and a limited harvest. But when you grow vertically and keep burying the stem repeatedly as the plant grows upward, you are giving the plant permission to produce potatoes along its entire stem length instead of just the bottom few inches. More buried stem equals more stolons. More stolons equals more potatoes. The tower is simply a system for burying as much stem as possible over the course of the season. Once you understand that one principle, everything else makes complete sense. This single decision determines whether your tower produces 80 pounds or 10 pounds. Most people skip it entirely and wonder why the method did not work. Potatoes come in 2 types. Determinate varieties set all their tubers in one layer near the base regardless of how much you hill them. Yukon Gold and most early season varieties fall into this category. Plant these in a tower and you will get the same harvest you would have gotten in the ground. All that hilling accomplishes nothing extra. You need indeterminate varieties. These continue producing new stolons and tubers along buried stem length as the plant grows taller. The best choices are Russet Burbank, German Butterball, Elba, Canela Russet, and Kennebec. These are the varieties Amish gardeners favor for vertical growing because they respond to every new layer of coverage by producing another level of tubers throughout the tower. Always buy certified seed potatoes from a garden center or seed supplier. Never use grocery store potatoes. They are typically treated with a sprout inhibitor that will completely sabotage your results. 2 to 3 days before planting, cut your seed potatoes into egg-sized pieces, making sure each piece carries at least 2 eyes. Let the cut surfaces dry and callus over in a cool shaded spot for 48 hours. This prevents rotting once they are inside the moist growing environment of the tower. Take a length of welded wire fencing with 2 by 4 inch openings and cut a piece roughly 12.5 feet long, form it into a cylinder about 4 feet in diameter and secure the ends together with wire ties. That gives you a footprint of approximately 4 square feet. Place the cylinder on level ground in full sun. Potatoes need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily. Shade kills your yield. Line the inside bottom 12 inches with straw pressed against the wire walls to keep your growing medium from falling through the gaps. Some Amish gardeners line the full interior with burlap, which works just as well. No wire fencing available? A 55-gallon drum with drainage holes drilled in the bottom and sides works perfectly. So do large trash cans, stacked wooden pallets wired into a square, or stacked tires. The structure does not matter. What matters is that it rises at least 3 feet, drains well, and is wide enough to space 4 to 5 seed potato pieces per layer. Fill the bottom of your tower with a 6-inch layer of equal parts compost and straw. This mix needs to be loose, well-draining, and rich in organic matter. Compacted heavy soil will choke root development and kill your yield. Place 4 to 5 seed potato pieces evenly across this layer with the eyes facing upward. Cover them with another 4 to 6 inches of your compost and straw mix. Water thoroughly until the material is evenly moist throughout but not waterlogged. Your tower should now be filled to about 12 inches. Now you wait. Within 1 to 2 weeks, depending on soil temperature, you will see green shoots pushing through the surface. This is where conventional gardening stops. The Amish method is just getting started. Every time those green shoots grow 8 to 10 inches above the current surface, add another 4 to 6 inch layer of your compost and straw mix around the stems. Leave only the top 3 to 4 inches of foliage exposed above the new layer. You are burying most of the stem each time, and that buried stem immediately begins producing new stolons, which means new potatoes at a whole new level of the tower. Repeat this hilling cycle 3 to 4 times over the growing season, gradually filling the tower from bottom to top. By the time you finish, your tower will stand about 3 feet tall, packed with developing potatoes at every level. In zones 5 through 7, plant your tower 2 to 3 weeks after your last frost date, when soil temperature reaches 45 degrees. Your first hilling happens roughly 3 weeks after shoots emerge. After that, hill every 2 to 3 weeks as stems reach that 8 to 10 inch threshold. The full process from planting to final hilling takes about 10 to 12 weeks. A vertical tower dries out significantly faster than an in-ground bed because the straw and compost mix is exposed to air on all sides through the wire mesh. Inconsistent watering is the number one reason towers underperform. Here is the rule. Push your finger 3 inches into the growing mix. If it feels dry at that depth, water thoroughly until you see moisture coming through the bottom of the tower. During hot stretches, that may mean watering every other day. During cooler periods, twice a week is usually enough. Uneven moisture produces knobby, misshapen potatoes and reduced yields. Steady, consistent moisture produces smooth, full-sized potatoes at every level. The compost in your mix handles most of the feeding naturally. If you want to boost production, add a balanced organic fertilizer drench every 3 to 4 weeks during active growth. Avoid heavy nitrogen applications. Too much nitrogen grows beautiful leafy tops and disappointing potatoes underneath. Once your plants flower, stop adding layers. Flowering signals that tuber formation is well underway and the plant needs to direct its energy into swelling existing potatoes rather than generating new stem growth. 4 to 6 weeks after flowering, the vines will begin yellowing and dying back naturally. Do not rush this. Those final weeks are when tubers put on their last weight and skins toughen for storage. When harvest day arrives, simply cut the wire ties, unwrap the cylinder, and let the entire column of straw and compost collapse. Then sift through the layers with your hands. Potatoes will be sitting at every level from the bottom of the pile all the way to the top. First year realistic expectations are 40 to 60 pounds from 1 4 square foot tower. Refine your technique each season and those numbers climb steadily. Here is the simplest version of everything we have covered. No wire. No containers. No building whatsoever. Lay 4 seed potato pieces directly on the ground in a 2 foot by 2 foot square. Cover them with 8 inches of loose straw. That is your entire starting setup. When shoots push through 8 to 10 inches above the straw surface, pile on another thick layer covering most of the green growth. Repeat 3 more times over the season, building a mound roughly 2.5 feet tall. The straw keeps developing tubers in complete darkness, holds moisture surprisingly well, and holds its structure all season long. At harvest, simply pull the straw apart. Potatoes sit clean, dry, and undamaged at every layer with 0 digging required. 1 straw mound can produce around 50 pounds with almost no labor involved. Add a handful of balanced organic fertilizer to each straw layer as you build, and you close the gap with the wire tower method significantly. If you have never tried vertical potato growing, this is exactly where to start. The entire Amish potato tower method comes down to one simple biological truth. Buried stems make more potatoes. Everything else, the wire cylinder, the straw mound, the repeated hilling, is just a delivery system for that single principle. Build your tower in full sun. Choose indeterminate varieties. Hill consistently and repeatedly. Water deeply and evenly. And let the plant do what it was always capable of doing when you give it the room to grow upward. Drop a comment below and tell me which method you are trying this season, the wire tower or the straw-only version. And if you want more traditional growing wisdom that actually delivers results in the modern garden, hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.